Hello, everybody. My goodness, what a day. What an absolute chaotic transfer deadline day. What a transfer window we have just witnessed. This is the absolute definition of absolute cinema. Like, this was absolute cinema from like the beginning of the transfer window, kind of like breaking with the FIFA Club World Cup taking place, and then throughout the end. Holy cow, there was some absolute drama. Now, we're gonna have to. Now, this is gonna be like a two-part series. Of course, we're gonna talk about the transfer windows, my discussions, how impactful all the transfers, and those kind of stuff. Part two of this will be like the Premier League review of what happened last week, and I got plenty of time, of course, because international break is here. And yeah, what do I think about the first three games? Which teams improve, which teams not? Which teams stays the same, and all that stuff. So, where do I begin? Where the hell do I begin? I think I have a good idea where I can begin. I think I have a good idea. Let's just see where I can find it. Let's just see. Up. There he is. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Your new number 9. Figuratively and literally. Alexander Isak, £150 million, $6 million, 6-year contract. He has burned every Newcastle bridge, pissed off all the fans, the coaches, the staff, the whole works. And now he is here to don the red of Liverpool. And I'm going to tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen. Liverpool just won the offseason. In fact, Liverpool just won the transfer window completely by a country mile. By the way, this is the newest, highest paid Premier League player of all time. You know which player surpassed him? Florian Wirtz from the same team in the same transfer window. Combine all of that with the transfer, that's £554 million that Liverpool has spent on those transfers. Like, hey, listen, when I say Liverpool did not play around this season, I said Liverpool did not play around this season. And they got probably the biggest fish by anybody. They got the biggest fish ever. And holy cow, what a fish it is. And if you want to know how good he is, the stats is going to tell you a lot more. Look at this. 228 shots attempts, 114 on target, 54 goals. 54 goals. Mostly from Newcastle, by the way. And we'll get to Newcastle, by the way, which, they're not pleased. Well, not pleased, more like ecstatic, of course. But my God, if you're a Liverpool fan today, and if you are officially a Liverpool fan today, you are absolutely being blessed. You are just in heaven right now. You pretty much got the second best goal scorer alongside Mo Salah. My goodness, Mo Salah, Kedige, and Salah and Isak. I mean, my God, I just. Oh, it is so over for everybody. It is so over for this league. It is literally so over for this league. If you can have this production on this Liverpool team this season, I mean, you could just put this cap on this right now. It's brutally over. It's absolutely over for this team, and he can bring the quality. He can score. We know he can score goals. We know he have quality. This is a big deal, and probably the biggest signing in all of Liverpool. The question is for Arne Slot, and like all the transfer that he have, what he's going to do with it? What is he going to do with him and his ego? The way he treated Newcastle, of course, at the end. Trust me, they did treat him poorly at the end. Let's be honest, but that's probably his fault. More on that later. But this is more of the Liverpool side, and just like, how will Arne Slot fit him? In fact, how will Arne Slot fit all these players? Because as of the time of recording, Liverpool are perfect 3 for 3 in the Premier League. But let's be brutally honest, they have not played like themselves. And yet they're still winning. And that, if you're a Liverpool fan today, is an absolute good thing. And now that you got pretty much the biggest transfer of your entire footballing lives with this piece of beauty. I'll tell you one thing. It is going to be over for everybody else. Now, as we all know, you bought in a new guy. You're thinking to yourself, oh, he can just easily score goals and probably win games. So far, not so much. Sesko cannot even get out of the bench. Gyökeres was fine in a one game against Leeds, but kind of struggled against Liverpool. But so adaptability is pretty much like, key. But he's playing in the Premier League before, playing in the Champions League, which is, of course, Liverpool's going to be involved, of course. And I think, the goals speak to himself. This guy is an absolute beast. This guy is an absolute beast. And I think this is going to be like it might age badly. It may age badly, but this is going to be like one of the biggest, probably the best things that ever happened to Liverpool since signing Salah away from Roma a couple of years ago. It might be one of the biggest signings ever. And you combine that with Florian Wirtz, who has not started off well, but we'll give him time. And Nketiah, who actually done well. Right now, you're looking at this Liverpool team and see, like, I feel like they're going to win. I feel like they're going to dominate games, score goals, be all that jazz. They are going to dominate this league from an attacking standpoint. Yes, Akeem, I said the attacking standpoint. Because Liverpool are not done yet, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, no, ladies and gentlemen. They're not done yet. In addition to signing Mr. Alexander Isak, they sign Mark Gay, ladies and gentlemen. Come on down, Mark Gay. Liverpool have officially signed Mark Gay. Mark Gay, hello, where are you? Wait, let me just see the photos. Hold up. Where's Mark Gay? Hello? Okay, there's some stats and everybody else. Where's Mark Gay? Where is Mark Gay? Where is Mark Gay? Oh, no. Mark Gay is not in the picture. Yeah, Mark Gay is not in the picture because, they were supposed to get Mark Gay. He was going to Liverpool. Everything looking great. And then it fell completely go to crap. Like a house of cards, it completely collapsed. Because if Crystal Palace were to lose a player like Mark Gay, who we'll get to the professionalism of all these things happen, but to lose a player like Mark Gay, they had to replace someone. They gotta have to find a replacement with someone. They were supposed to get Igor Julia, of course, but fortunately for Crystal Palace fans, I have some sad news to tell you that Igor is going to West Ham. So that hurts. And Liverpool were supposed to send, Joe Gomez to Milan on loan. And unfortunately with that, and the Gomez deal kind of canned, Mark Gay is now officially at Crystal Palace. He's going to be staying at Crystal Palace. And I think for him, mentally, and not just mentally, of course, but, for himself, it's a huge crushing blow of not joining a big club. But listen, he's going to be, for Crystal Palace fans and for, Oliver Glasner, to have this guy, to have your leader as your team, stay with the club for a couple of months, it's huge. You're going to play a lot of football, of course, and you're going to need a lot more, leadership in your team. And Mark Gay is that kind of guy. The professionalism he shows, never complains, never say anything bad about all these kind of stuff. Unlike, your Isaks and Wiesels of the world. Again, get to him later. But you need a professional leadership. You need some professional leaders. And Mark Gay is that guy. And for him to not move to Liverpool, it hurts Liverpool more. Because let's be brutally honest. For all of Liverpool signing Isak, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, Akeem, they're going to win the Premier League, dominate all the defense, and just score goals. Great. What if Virgil van Dijk got hurt? What if Joe Gomez got hurt? Your defense, as much as you shut down Arsenal, great, fantastic, congratulations. We saw what happened to Crystal Palace. We saw what happened to Bournemouth. We saw what happened to Newcastle. Is that Liverpool's defense is just not, it's fine, but it's just not it. And I have that feeling, that absolute sinking feeling, is that it's going to cost Liverpool the title. It's going to cost them. Now, I get him on January. They're not done yet with getting Gay. He's going to be pursuing him and trying to make sure they'll get him in the January transfer window so that Liverpool can bolster the defense. But by not having him in your squad now, may come back to bite them when we get to the Champions League matches, League Cup matches, of course, and the Premier League, of course. So this is gonna be like one of those. It's great. If you're Liverpool, you got probably the biggest striker ever, and you're feeling happy, you're feeling confident, but at the back of your mind, at the back of your head, you must be feeling like, oh boy, that defense should look pretty sus. And if you're a Crystal Palace fan, you're elated that you have Marguerite back. You have elated that the whole transfer thing is not dead and all that jazz. And you're going to get a real leader on this squad who is going to be disappointed for not making the move. It is hurt. But at the same time, you're still going to need your leader. You're still going to need your best back because right now you lost as you kept Mateta, which is a good news. And you're probably going to lose Marguerite as well, which is going to be another big leader. So if you lose like 2 of your 3 leaders, I got to say Crystal Palace is going to be in trouble. Not just domestically, of course, but in Europe as well. So they need Oliver Glasner need his guys, and I'm glad that he got his guys. And unfortunately for Newcastle, it is a salty, bitter day to be a Newcastle fan. It is an absolute salty day to be a Newcastle fan. Now, where is the statement that Newcastle have? Listen, I know it's salty, Newcastle, but listen. Maybe there's some positive words, of course. I know Getty. I know the way he did was not professional, not good. The way he treated all these things is not great, of course, but maybe you might have some nice words to say. Yeah, let's see some nice words. Okay, so Newcastle United can announce the sale of striker Alexander Isak to Liverpool for a significant British record transfer fee. The Sweden international joined the Magpies from the Real Sociedad in 2022 and made 109 appearances in all competitions. That's the statement. That's the literal statement by the Newcastle, by the way. 37 words. No mention about his goals, no mention about the fact that he guided Newcastle to their first ever cup victory in years, something that Alan Shearer the Great cannot even do in his prime. No mention about it. It's just, okay, yeah, here's a Swedish guy we bought in from Sociedad from, 3 years ago, made 109 appearances, and that's it. Here you go, Liverpool. Oh, and we sold him for 150 million pounds. So that's that. And just, man. This is just, yeah, I feel for you, Newcastle. I feel hurt for you, Newcastle. I may not be a Newcastle fan in general, but if this is happening to my player, honestly, it's just not great. It's just not great. The entire tone of this whole transfer saga and the way it's been presented is just not a good look for probably Newcastle and not a good look for Isak as well. Burning all your bridges after everything you give to the club. You are the sole reason why Newcastle are League Cup champions. For like you're the reason why they won a trophy, for God's sakes. You're the reason why Newcastle are in the Champions League. You're the reason why you're scoring goals against like Paris Saint-Germain or something. And unfortunately, the way you behave and the way you treated Newcastle like absolute trash is absolutely disgusting. And you're not the only one who decided to be disgusting. Oh, no, because Newcastle decided that, forget Alexander Isak. We don't need this absolute trash. We got the next best thing. Come on down, Yone Wissa from Brentford United. Yep. Like, you know what? Screw Isak. We can have the next best thing. The next best goal scorer, of course, beside Brandon Muerbo, who now joined the Manchester United, of course. And I said he's okay. I said he's okay. I think he's good. I think he's a good player. We saw him from Brentford. He's can also scored goals. But to replace let's say a 30 goals plus goal scorer for your team, it's pretty hard. It is pretty hard for him. And like Isak, his behavior towards trying to get the move, of course, is absolutely disgusting to the point that I kind of have a tweet about it. Let's just see if I can find a tweet. Let's see. Let's see if I can find a tweet right there. Yes, I'm going through all of that. There you go. This is the tweet, of course, that says from Tacdesk X. It said, "Football is a ruthless business. Isak and Wisa have made their moves due to their behavior and ability, of course, and Gay would have had his with the same behavior. He refuses to play, and Palace are forced into the market earlier. Well done, Mark. Your time will come. So, if you behave badly enough, you gotta move. But if you behave like decent professional gentlemen, you get nothing." Yeah, it. You know what this reminds me of? This whole thing with Isak and Wisa kind of remind me of. It reminds me of Jimmy Butler. You know Jimmy Butler, who gave everything to the Miami Heat, went on 2 incredible finals runs. Of course, did not win it, but he poured his heart and soul into some of the playoffs, of course. But he poured his heart and soul to that Heat culture team, and the way this whole thing ended is kind of like disrespectful and all kind of jazz. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like with Isak and Wisa. And that is going to be the fear among many fans. Is that you bring in a player, you think to yourself, hey, this player's going to be there for like forever, and they're going to be, the fulcrum of our legendary status within the club. And then the next thing you know, this guy is like, nah, I don't want to play with this anymore. I want to go to a bigger move. And it's like, where's professionalism in this? Where's the professionalism in football these days? It's jarring, absolutely jarring, to be honest. And listen, Mark Gay, he deserves a lot of credit for like keep his head down, not going on social media and all that jazz. Be professional, play some games, and do all that jazz. Same thing with Ebrika Eze, play the game, did not complain all that stuff, did not say anything much, and then get his move with his boyhood club Arsenal. So at least, you can say that, well, Crystal Palace are like the exception to the rule, but at least you can say that that's how you deal with these things. You deal with these things by being professional, by saying thank you to the club that has gotten me towards my path. You don't do that by burning bridges or giving them the finger and all kind of stuff. Like, after it's just the players are now becoming bigger than the team itself. And I think Eddie Howe, in that performance against Liverpool, and of course the goalless draw against Leeds, show us that yes, we may lose the best player, but this is a team sport. No one player is greater than the team. Now, of course, Isak is much bigger than Wisa, of course. But if the players have any say in all of these things and refuse to wear the badge, refuse to do anything, refuse to do all kinds of stuff, then I think this is going to be a problem. I think it's going to be a problem for footballers, for agents, for media, of course, outlets and all kinds of stuff. It is going to be a huge problem. And if this is going to be the behavior that's going on throughout the rest of transfer windows, then I don't know what is. So yeah, they got their wish. They got their wish. Was it horrible? Yeah, but if this is going to be the behavior that'll get you a big transfer move, so be it, I guess. So that is Newcastle. That is Liverpool. I think that pretty much said it. Yeah, what a wild transfer window between Newcastle, Liverpool, and Crystal Palace. And Crystal Palace is not done yet because they kind of like pick up the pieces and just like, okay, let's just sign a good, decent player in our ranks. There it is. Christinas Uche from Strasbourg. Let's just see if I got it right. From Strasbourg. Yes. No, actually, no. I didn't have a team name. But they've got a player, by the way, of Christinas Uche. They were supposed to get the 17-year-old guy from Solomon, of course, that actually make sure they get a replacement. so that Gay can go to Liverpool, but that failed. So in came another good. So in came probably Christias Uche, and going to be playing for Crystal Palace. And trust me, I say this: they need depth. They need to hold on. They hold on to some of their best players, of course, and they needed depth in order to do so. And they got some of it, of course. They got some of it. But I'm worried about like Crystal Palace's depth going into Europe, of course. This is not a disrespect to him. This is not a disrespect to him. He's a good player. He's a very, very good player. And I hope and I wish him the best. But I just worry about Crystal Palace going into like Europe and domestically once the international break comes through. That's all. So it is time for me to address my club. First off, that's Jadon Sancho, and he's now on loan again. This time to Aston Villa. And honestly, I'm not bitter in all the kind of cases. It is what it is. I have no ill will on this guy. I hope he can do well and maybe develop. The next player I wanted to talk about is Rasmus Højlund, who, by the way, let's just see. He's joining Napoli. Yes, Akeem, Napoli, the place where Manchester United players come and actually, reborn their careers. Looking at you, Scott McTominay and all the crew. Yeah, this guy, Confidence, did not do well. Signing Manchester United was supposed to be the big striker that can probably like put in some goals and have some performances, and his performance got shot. Absolutely shot. And you can add in the Garnacho transfer and also one more. It's the Anthony transfer, of course, that is permanent, of course, with some add-ons. And you got 3 Man United players that pretty much cost so much money to be like wasteful. And I think the Sky Sports Transfer Center crew summed it up perfectly. Is that the way the recruiting of Man United has been absolutely wasteful. Wasteful, wasteful, wasteful. That's the word they said, and I'm going to keep using that word. Wasteful. Here's the problem. Here's the thing with Man United right now in terms of recruiting and all kind of stuff. The problem with Man United is not the players they bought. Okay, it is not the problem. The problem is not Man United buying the players. It's the players that are trying to fit the system. Ruben Amorim's system. And right now, it is not working. Some of the players are in there are not making the system good. Sesko can't even get a game. Sesko has been bought to Man United for £7 million and even barely get a Premier League game. How do you not? Why are you signing a player that is £7 million that can't even get a sniff of a game? Not even a Premier League game. Now again, it's Burnley. I mean, it's Burnley, but let the player loose. Go out there. Like, let him show up. Like, listen, let's be honest. We're not going to get to Europe. We're not going to do anything. We lost the freaking Grimsby Town in the League Cup. Like, we're nothing. Listen, what do we have to lose right now? Our reputation has gone down so crappy that I just feel like if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it's a massive failure. It's a massive absolute failure. But I feel like the problem with Man United at this current stage is not the players. The players have been fine. Buempe is good, is decent. Bruno Fernandes, say all the will about his antics. He's fine captain, not a great captain, but a fine captain. The goalkeeping situation is bad. We'll get to that as later. Defending is not good, and the manager is under pressure and all kinds of stuff. I think the problem is the culture. Let me just explain it again. I think Manchester United's biggest problem right now is the culture. And the culture is, I'm not going to put the commander's speech, it's not good. It's a toxic culture right now. And it feels like right now, every time a player goes to Man United, it almost feels like the pressure is getting to them soon. The pressure of them to lead Man United back to glory is just too much for them to handle. And it gets the best of so many teams. It gets the best of so many players, by the way. Why did Marcus Rashford decide to move to Barcelona? Like, he may have a fallen out, but this is your young academy player. You nurture him and all kinds of stuff. How come Kobe Maidu, thank God, did not go, but how come Kobe Maidu decided to transfer? He's also another one of those young stars. How about Garnacho and Haaland? These are young, hungry up-and-coming players. But yes, big price tags if you sell. But these are supposed to be the future of this club, and the way these players have been wasted, it just frustrates me. It just absolutely frustrates me to the core. To the point of like, I don't think the players are the problem. And if you listen, right now the jury is still out of Ruben Amorim. I'll get to part two. I'll get to the Man United Burnley game. But even myself, I don't feel good about this win. Yes, a win is a win, and we needed this, and we definitely needed this, consider the confidence. But right now, at this point, I just don't feel any goodness about, the way Man United performed. Like, I don't even see a good Man United performance. In fact, I don't remember a really good Man United performance that makes you feel like, okay, that is what I'm talking about. That's a good team performance. I don't see anything. I don't see nothing about this club. And I think it's come back to the culture around this place. And maybe it's the Glazers' fault, or maybe it's the ownership fault, or all that jazz, but they are making the culture not as good. And I believe if you wanted to make the culture stick in there, I said, and as hard it is to say this, you got to let Ruben Amorim stay throughout the season at Man United. Because here's the problem right now. Chopping and changing and doing all that thing is not going to make this club better. It's going to make it worse and worse and worse. To the point that I cannot believe I'm going to say these words. And I said these words a couple of times. There may be a possibility that Man United could get relegated from the Premier League. Crazy, I know, but I have seen Leeds, I have seen Newcastle, I have seen Aston Villa, I have seen good teams fall off. It would not be a shock, considering the mismanagement that Man United have in the last several years, including this transfer window, mind you, that is not going to happen. It's only 3 games of a 38-team season. It's a long, long way to go. But if things like these keep happening on the field, consider all the chaos that is happening off the field, I may not watch another Man United game ever again. For the sake of my mental, I just can't. And I think the culture has to change. I'm not saying that getting rid of owners is going to be the first start to do it. And I'm sorry that I'm going to make this a Man United rant thing, but I'm going to continue my transfers and talk about the good. But I think the culture has to change. I think it has to start with the top. Listen, they said it. I don't think one transfer is going to change everything about Man United. And that's fine. It's going to take 3 or 4 transfers and 3 or 4 movements to even get the team right. In fact, it's going to take like 3 or 4 transfers to even make it like the top 8 or maybe top 4, for God's sakes. So I can understand, like, they do not want to, like, do all of these things in one transfer, do all of that stuff. But striking positions, I think they take care of that. Fine, they need goals. Midfield is so old right now. So old. Like, I cannot trust Casemiro or Bruno Fernandes to even do anything in midfield. The back is looking shaky, and the goalkeeper situation is just awful. Awful, awful, awful. Maybe that's just bad recruiting or just the product of the Amorim system, but it almost feels like if Man United were to screw up even once, the weight of it is just too much on the players bearing in mind. The weight is going to be too much for them, and it almost had that feeling of like, if I screw this up, I will get criticized by the media, by the fans, by all these trolls, and it's going to hurt me more. So, here's the thing. I do not think the players have a problem. I don't think the players are the issue here. Because why did Scott McTominay do well in Napoli and can't do well in Man United? Why do Anthony does well in Real Betis and not doing well in Man United? And listen, I don't know about Garnacho or Sancho or Marcus Rashford or anybody else or Holland. I don't know much. But why? But it's only asking me, why are these players doing well at other clubs rather than Man United? And if it's a system problem, is it a player problem? Is it a confidence? And maybe those are all the answers. But I feel that the culture needs to change, and that is just my opinion. And I think that's the thing that nobody wants to talk about. Nobody wants to talk about the culture of Man United needs to change. I think the culture of Man United has changed since the Glazers come in the club, becoming more of a business and rather than a football model. And it took us all until like a couple of years ago for actually realize. And by the time that happens, City and all these teams are going to be City and Liverpool are just way up there, and we're lagging behind. We're lagging behind, and we're lagging behind like the Brightons and the Fulhams and the Brentfords of the world. We're lagging behind to the point of like, Jesus, we're going to be in trouble if we don't do anything much. So, yeah, we have a culture issue, and I think it needs to be fixed. And I'm not saying on the field it needs to be fixed. That's another issue. That'll be another issue, a separate issue, of course. But off the field culture has to change as well. I'm not going to be the kind of guy, and listen, I'm not going to be the kind of guy who wants the ownership out. That's going to be for them and them alone. I just wanted to know that if the culture do not change at Man United, we are screwed. We are screwed for the rest of my life. I am 29 years old. The last time Man United won a Premier League title, I'm 28. Mixing my age there. I'm 28 years old. The last time Man United won a trophy was 16 years old. My father had to go through 30 years for Man United, for Liverpool to not even win a trophy. And maybe I may live to see that, maybe I don't. But I just do not want to. But I just do not want my entire life to see Man United being absolutely bad because of bad recruiting and bad culture and all that jazz. So that is my 2 cents. Now let's get to the good. So Man United decided to buy a goalkeeper, and his name is Senan Lemans, who once upon a time joined from Royal Antwerp. I think this may, and I said may, solve the goalkeeping issue for Man United. Because let's be honest, Onana and the other goalkeeper is just ass, man. They're just ass. Here's the stats, of course. Good on saves with the penalty kicks. Save percentage great. Save percentage great. Crosses stopped. Those are the main areas, of course. And I don't know much of the numbers, but those are decent, good areas. 99% in all kind of jazz. Now, those are from like the Belgian League. And the Belgian League is way, way different than the Premier League, and especially Man United. I told you about the culture, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you again. The culture from Royal Antwerp to Man United and the expectations there is as high as ever been. And the question for him, can he handle the pressure? Can he handle the situation? Can he handle the weight of the shoulders of Man United trying to, get back to the top club? Can he handle that? That's going to be a question for him to answer throughout the entire season. And hopefully, keep some clean sheets. Because we're desperately need some good defense. Because let's be honest, we haven't had that in like a long time. We haven't had a great keep. We didn't have a good keeper since David De Gea. That's how long it is for United trying to search a good keeper. We don't want you to be David De Gea or Schmeichel or Edward van der Sar. We don't want these to be him. We just want you to be yourself, be a good keeper, and just make Man United better. Just please, for once, just make them better. Okay. 34 minutes have been lapsed. My goodness. Okay. That's enough ranting. Let's just try to rapid fire everything. So, Kuala Mwande, Tottenham, big deal. You got Siemens, you got Kudos, and you got Mwande in the striking position. That is scary. Absolutely scary for Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank. And to get him from PSG, who are the champions, of course, in Europe, it's a huge deal. So I think if you are Spurs, you are absolutely delighted, of course, to get this guy on the line. Fulham signed 2 players. My goodness. They signed Kevin from Shakhtar Donetsk, of course, to Fulham. Exciting player, lovely player. Hopefully he can make Fulham decent better. Nicholas Jackson went from Chelsea to Bayern Munich just today for a couple of money. Another huge signing, of course, for him. Hopefully he'll get his confidence back because let's be honest right now. Chelsea are signing like 1 billion players. In fact, they signed like 50 players for the last couple of years. Although this transfer window is kind of good in terms of like recruitment and all kind of stuff, I think for Nicholas Jackson, it's time for him to move on. Next, Hincap to Arsenal, a massive defensive need. Consider that Saliba got hurt, of course, and we don't know how long Saliba will be there. But with the defense being locked in and the depth being addressed, I said it one more time. If Arsenal right now cannot win a Premier League title or even a Champions League, mind you, if they don't win anything, I am sorry, Mikel Arteta, for as good as you are, even Arsenal fans will not accept this. Tottenham has won a trophy, ladies and gentlemen, in the last couple of years, since your last trophy, which is the FA Cup, way back when. It is time for you to deliver. And hopefully, with his loan deal, I think I'll be worth it. Chukwueze, another Fulham player. Fulham just signed 2 players. Fulham just signed 2 players. Hey guys, it's a miracle. It's an absolute miracle. Fulham knows how to sign players. Amazing, just amazing. From Nigeria, of course, pretty good, decent player. Hopefully, he'll do well. Let's just keep continuing. Bro Baby. Yes, Bobby Bobrebi to Sunderland from Ajax, by the way. Another decent player. Hopefully, it will help Sunderland, escape the drop and all that kind of jazz. Delan Bakwa joining Nottingham Forest. Like the Sky Sports crew said that, Nottingham Forest need like 4 players to go through. I think there's another player that I'm talking about, of course. And the question is for Nottingham Forest is that all these players are good enough to keep Nuno Espirito Santos around, because at the time of recording, in a couple of hours right now, British time, of course, he and the owner will have a talk. And I'll tell you one thing, man. Consider everything that the owner and Santos has gone through, it may not be pretty. It may not be pretty. Maybe it might be a good thing, maybe it might be a bad thing. But I'll tell you what, man. Consider the owner situations, it may not be good. The second player that is for his side is Alexander Zinchenko, former Arsenal player, former Premier League champion with Manchester City, could help the defense. Okay, good. Jamie Vardy going to Cremonese, former Leicester City legend, crap house extraordinaire, 38 years old. He's in Cremonese. That's Jamie Vardy, everybody. I have nothing much to say. Even the violin is weird. Anyways, Bernard Traore from Ajax joining Sunderland United. We all know the Traores are known as speed, brilliance, pace, but sadly lack of vision. Trust me, I know these stuff. So, yeah, huge signing for him. Hopefully they're going to help them, of course. And then, Raul, he's gone to Freiburg. Everton signed Raul to Freiburg. Another huge signing. Wearing number 34. And consider that Everton right now already saw, brought in Jack Grealish. And Jack Grealish balled out. And to see what Everton is doing, business and all kinds of stuff. Mind you, this is the first ever transfer window with the Frederick Group taking over, of course. And with the new stadium and all that jazz, Everton are making some decent deals. Maybe this might be the year that Everton will not finish 15th or something. This is probably something here. Okay. Whoa. Okay, that's a Brentford player, by the way. Let's just see my notes. This is Reece Nelson, by the way, who's joining a loan from Arsenal. So you lost on Weesay, you lost on Wembo, and this is probably the next best thing. And this is no respect to Nelson and all that kind of stuff. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, they're in the You Fear For Them, guys. They're officially in the You Fear For Them teams. Along with Man United, along with Wolves, along with West Ham. This is You Fear For Them. You absolutely fear for them in all that jazz. So I'm not sure what Brentford's going to do here, but I hope they'll finish mid-table. I hope he can do decently well, Nelson, and hopefully Brentford will finish mid-table. Right, continue. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, Julio. I mentioned Igor Julio, of course, in my play. He's gonna be he's gonna be decent for this West Ham squad who just got a good win against Nottingham Forest of all teams. Amazing. I don't know how, but incredible. Turns out that changing your back three into a back four actually works. How come no manager want to do that? Yeah. Turns out flexibility is good. Says no one Man United player ever. That's pretty much that's Igor Julia, of course, joining the team. Hopefully, it might help West Ham right now because they just needed all the help. And I believe that is about it. Yeah, that's it. And I'm just gonna leave the Jamie Vardy, sitting behind the island as my ending, of course. But there's one more transfer, ladies and gentlemen. There's one more transfer, two in fact, and that is Donnarumma is signing for Manchester City. Yes, 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 he is joining Manchester City, ladies and gentlemen. And Ederson is going to Fenerbahce. Now I'm going to take a sip of water and talk about this situation of why Donnarumma is a good keeper, but I don't think it's going to make Manchester City a lot better. So, drink of water and then come back. Sorry to not pause, but gotta do all these things live. So, Gigi Donnarumma. He's 26 years old, which is weird considering that the guy has been to PSG like 15 years ago or something. No, he played for Milan, of course, when he was a teenager, moved to PSG, and pretty much the most instrumental person towards PSG's title win. Now, I was trying to find a picture of his sign and all kind of stuff, but I can't find it, so I'm going to leave it as it is. I think if you are Manchester City, you get probably one of the most premier shot stoppers in the world. And I think if you're Manchester City, the goalkeeping situation, just like Man United's, it's not as dire as Man United's, but it's more like a glaring hole in one of Manchester City's parts. So for City to get GD Donnarumma, it's a huge deal, a huge goal stopper. We know what he's capable of in big moments, especially in the Champions League. This is a huge deal. So I have no problem with that. However, I think we have problems. I think we have absolute problems. The feet. Because in today's modern football, you gotta need goalkeepers with your feet, play out with the back, and all that jazz. That's been the Pep Guardiola system now, and it's pretty much the Pep Guardiola system for as long as he's outlived. And I don't think GD Donnarumma has done well on his feet. I don't think Trafford has done well on his feet. You know the only person who's done well on his feet for Manchester City? Ederson, who decided to kick him to Fenerbahce, mind you. So you decided to trade a guy who is a pretty good goalkeeper and a good player among his feet to play on the back for a guy who's a good shot stopper but cannot do well on his feet. This might create some problems. Now, I think, if Pep Guardiola might do something about it, make the center back get the ball, of course, and do all kinds of stuff. He has to change, of course. He has to change. And, I am not sure he's going to make Manchester City a decent team. And right now, they've lost 2 games in a row. And I'm not saying they're in crisis mode or in the you fear for them mode. But we know Donnarumma is a good keeper. Don't get me wrong. But can he play out of the back? Can he, follow through the Pep Guardiola system to a T? Because he's going from one rich club to another rich club with another strict manager and all kinds of stuff. So, yeah. I think we're going to have some pretty weird stuff going on. And I think the whole situation with the Donnarumma situation is going to be pretty much night and day. You're going to have some credible saves, but also some weird moments that feels like, what are you doing and all kinds of stuff. So, yeah. Yeah, Donnarumma is going to City, which is going to be, if you're City, this is good. You got a pretty good player and all kinds of stuff. And Ederson is going to Fenerbahce. He's going to help Fenerbahce a lot. But unfortunately, Fenerbahce has no manager because Jose Mourinho is gone. Yes, guys, Jose Mourinho Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Erik ten Hag got sacked all in the same week. Not the same month, the same week. And Ten Hag has been there for 2 games. So even the crappy Man United culture is bleeding into the managers. Like, God, my goodness. Oh, anyways, enough of my management. We're talking Manchester City, and I think if you're Manchester City, you're good. That you sign in a pretty good goalkeeper in Donnarumma, and hopefully it'll help your team be better. But consider where you are right now. I think City has more problems than just the goalkeeper, and the fact that Rodri came back and your team did not win goes to show that Manchester City have so much problems they need to deal with. And the question is for Pep Guardiola: is he going to be the man that can just revitalize the team? I think he can, but I think it's going to be like it's going to take a more than a keeper anymore to make Manchester City even be elite again. So yeah, that's pretty much all that jazz. So that should do it, ladies and gentlemen. That's all the transfer deadline day news and thoughts and discussions that I'm going to talk about. And that should do it for part one, of course. Look at all this. Look at all of this, ladies and gentlemen. I forgot to even mention that Harvey Elliott is going on loan to Liverpool from Villa. Hopefully he'll get some reps. Hopefully he'll get some games. And hopefully he'll do well so that Liverpool might get him and all that stuff. So, yeah, I think that's it. I think that covers all of it. That pretty much covers all of it. I also forgot that, Lucero, Gertruida, also joined Sunderland as well. So you got Traore, Brobe, and Gertruida. Pretty 3 talented players, all of which are capable of making, Sunderland a little better than all the crappy teams in the bottom, but pretty much better. So, that should be it. All right? That should do it. The transfer window is already closed. And then, of course, we got a little time, of course, with the cheats and all that stuff. But the transfer window has been closed. $30 billion went into that transfer window. I think we all know I think football is pretty much broken at this point. So, yeah, why not? And it's been a chaotic transfer window. And now that the deal's been set, now the players are getting established, there's an international break, of course, when all the players will go into break. But now we're getting ready for some actual football from September, of course, until the new year when the new transfer winter is about to take place. But for now, everything that's going on to this day is amazing. Absolutely amazing. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is your headliner of the entire window. Pretty much the entire season. And if Isak can do well what he did to Newcastle, I think it's game over for everybody in the Premier League. It's game over for everybody in the Premier League. Will that happen? We don't know. Lots of things can happen. But hopefully, this might work out. And if you're a Newcastle fan, I feel bad for you. I think he deserves a lot of hate. And yeah, you just need some counseling. Anyways, that should do it. My name is Akeem. Have a lovely, lovely weekend. And I will see you all for part 2 of the Premier League when we review in match day 3 and see who's good, who's bad, and who's ugly. Take care of yourself, and God bless.